Everything changed when he decided to compete with Abe. After everything that has happened, he had realized his true feelings, which were towards Shida Kuro. Kuro was his true love. He confessed to Kuro in front of the whole school. This was an unexpected turn of events, which made Shiro break down crying, while on the other hand, Kuro was feeling butterflies run down her. Finally, her love had been acknowledged. Actually, Maru had realized, through everything that he has been through till now, Kuro was the only person who was with him unconditionally and loved him no matter what, and was his #1 supporter, even though she was rejected by him. But even after that, surprisingly, Kuro rejected his proposal in front of the whole school. This was another shocking turn of events. As the event came to an end, everyone was now packing up. Meanwhile, on the terrace, Abe was chatting with Kai, who knew that Abe had purposefully played the bad guy. This was all because Abe himself was a huge fan of Suharu and didn't mind playing the bad guy as long as it meant that Suharu came back on stage. Actually, Abe was like a brother to Kachai, whose plan was to make Suharu fall for her and then reject him to take her revenge. But this didn't work, as after seeing Suharu and Kuro date, she made up their dating story on the spot, but it was too late by then to take it back. But in the end of it all, no one was the ultimate winner in the whole process. This is because Kachai's plan had backfired on her, as Suharu no longer loved her, and Shida was now regretting turning Suharu down, and Suharu too was quite shaken up for obvious reasons. So overall, it was definitely a funny ending, but sad at the same time. Now, Maru was not able to forget the moment when he was rejected by his love, Shida, that too in front of the whole school. He couldn't even sleep properly because of it, and kept getting nightmares about the same. The scene where he was rejected by Shida kept playing in his mind over and over. Even though he tried to forget it, he couldn't. On the other hand, Shida too was regretting a lot. Rejecting him was just a sort of revenge for her, since he had previously not accepted his proposal. According to her, this problem wouldn't have arisen if he had accepted her proposal the first time. On the other hand, Shiro too was really sad. Her first love had confessed to someone else right in front of her. She had worked so hard all these years to make him fall in love with her. Even after succeeding, she failed at last. Both the girls blamed each other for the situation they were in. The next day at school, all the three of them looked pretty worn out from all the things that were happening around them. As Kai entered, he thought the overall situation to be very funny. After a while, he revealed the real reason why he had helped Maru with his stage performance. Actually, he had a hidden motive behind everything that he had done to help him and make his performance a successful one. He had recorded the whole performance, the whole proposal and the whole rejection, and had uploaded it on YouTube. This came as a huge shock for all three of them. The three of them were really shocked, and not just that. His YouTube video by then had blown up and gotten millions of people's attention. Their whole personal lives were now not only discussed by the whole school, but also was a hot topic for the Japanese TV talk shows. Everyone was talking about Maru's love triangle. Maru got really pissed off at his friend and tried to tackle him. That was when the mic announced, asking Maru to be present at the staff room. Suddenly, Kai figured out who the person was, demanding to meet Suharu. Actually, a famous TV channel had contacted him in order to meet Suharu. This was a famous Japanese TV channel. Kai then called the TV channel and asked them to not overdo it. After a while, an unknown girl, who had long, beautiful straight hair, was short, and was dressed up cutely, entered the school premises. This girl then proceeded to enter their classroom, and as soon as she saw Suharu, she called him and ran towards him to hug him as tightly as she could, and almost fell to the ground. Both Kuro and Shiro were alarmed by her presence. She claimed that Suharu was her big brother. But who was this mystery girl? The rest of his classmates immediately recognized her. Actually, she was a very popular actor who was trending nowadays and had risen to fame, Mamasaka Maria, who was playing the part of the little sister in a very famous series. Suharu too quickly recognized her and petted her. He was happy to see her. As he was catching up with her, Shiro and Kuro started getting jealous and came up behind him to inquire about this girl and his relation with her. This girl quickly recognized both of them and claimed that both of them as girls from his past. This enraged the both of them even further, as the girl proceeded to talk about her relationship with Suharu and how she would make him forget all about the girls from his past. Suharu cleared up that, actually, he was her senior and the both of them from the same agency back in the days. Mamasuke added that, not just her senior, but he had actually taught him everything in the industry and a lot of other things. After that, Momo dropped a bomb on everyone by suddenly announcing that her first love was actually Suharu. Later at lunch, Kai treated Suharu to a pizza to make up for him uploading the video on YouTube without his consent. Suharu too was pretty pissed at him for the chaotic morning that he went through due to Momo coming to their class, and of course all of that was Kai's fault. Deep down inside, he also thought that after all, the video had helped him get a boost if he ever wanted to revive his acting career, so that wasn't a negative thing at all. Later, after a bit of conversation, Tetsuhiko revealed that the pizza was actually sponsored by Rene. This girl was quite cute, and Suharu couldn't keep his eyes off her, all for the wrong reasons. Rene claimed to be a jack of all trades and also thought that Suharu was really funny. Rene was a first year in their school. As they were having their conversation over the pizza, Rene also noticed that Suharu and Tetsuhiko continuously argued and wondered why they were even friends if they didn't get along. As she was about to ask the question, she was interrupted by Kachai, who came in to ask Suharu for something. She was feeling really nervous, and the whole class noticed that Suharu was now getting approached by the unapproachable Kachai. After a gentle push by her friend Mako, she was finally able to convey her real feelings and talk to him. But then again, it was shocking when she blurted out a proposal to Suharu. That was when her friend finally stepped in and corrected her for blurting out the wrong thing. Actually, what she wanted to say was that Shiro's father, who was one of Suharu's sponsors, hadn't seen him for a long while and would like to meet him. So, that was the reason Shiro had invited him over to his house. After that, Kai passed a backhanded comment to Kachai, which pissed her off, but Suharu asked her to let it go, as she was also mad at him about the video uploading as well. After Suharu asked her, she forgave him, which left Kuro now. Suddenly, Kuro appeared too. Kuro was about to say something to Suharu when she was completely shut off by Shiro. Kuro could not say anything at that moment and was completely frozen with everything that had just happened. She tried to speak up to defend herself, but after seeing her, Suharu had a meltdown and was acting really funny in front of her. He ran off to hide behind Shiro, who shielded him while his meltdown. Hearing Shiro, Kuro went away from their classroom with tears in her eyes. Later, Suharu was at the riverbank, talking to Tetsuhiko on the phone to confirm if there was any media near his house. Tetsuhiko thought that everything seemed really fishy as suddenly the press had stopped pursuing him. It was as if some outside force had interfered in the whole process. Later, Shida was seen having a private conversation with Tetsuhiko. Finally, after a long day, when Suharu returned home, he was surprised to see his door unlocked and he was greeted by Momo, who was waiting for him. He was totally surprised. She quickly locked the door and dragged him inside while he demanded to know how she got his house keys. When he reached the dining room, a dinner was prepared for him which consisted of his favorite foods. This reminded him of his mom. After their dinner, both of them were chatting when Suharu mentioned that Momo used to be a troublemaker back in the day. Actually, Momo had come to see him and talked to him privately. She had known the real reason for him quitting, but couldn't bring up the courage to go actually talk to him. Seeing the video, she remembered him and then finally decided to come up to talk to him. She had come to him to ask for a favor. This favor was that he should come and talk to the president of their agency. He also came to know that his former president had retired and gone on a world trip with her husband. After that, Momo suddenly saw that Momo had handed him 2 visit cards. Actually, the president of the CEO wanted to meet Kuroha as well. As they were having this conversation, suddenly, Kuro's 3 sisters came banging on his door. At first, he was really perplexed with the situation and quickly hid Momo's shoes and asked her to stay inside a room. After that, he opened the door, and all 3 Shida sisters came storming in. All of them were doubting that he was hiding a girl inside his room, and had come to ask about why their sister was behaving differently than usual. A very shocking news was revealed by her sisters that Kuro had developed amnesia. He was totally shocked to hear that his friend Kuroha had developed amnesia. Apparently, she had been acting way different than usual. Actually, she was eating her meals as usual and also had forgotten about her weird habits of putting honey on her sashimi or whipped cream on her rice. As they were having this conversation, suddenly Momo decided to come out of the room and greet Suharu. This confirmed all their suspicions about him hiding another woman. Now it was sure that their sister was suffering because of Maru. After they were having a wrong idea about the whole thing, he interrupted them and corrected them about the whole misconception. He cleared that this girl was like his sister and was the famous actress Mamasuke Maria. After that, he began to introduce all of them to her. Momo was now trying to impress these sisters, and especially Midori, since she was a simple girl and easily predictable. Momo was leaning too close to Suharu, which angered Midori a bit, and she came to separate them from each other. After that, once again, Momo tried to bait her and lure her to make her like Momo. This plan obviously didn't work, although Midori didn't particularly dislike Momo. Soon after their conversation, Momo decided to leave as she figured that they might be having an emergency that day. This was due to them suddenly rushing over to his house in such a panic. Actually, their sister Kuroha had forgotten everything after the summer break and also had forgotten all about her proposal. This was actually true, as she couldn't remember anything, even after seeing their viral video. After a while of trying to find the perfect solution, one of the twin sisters suggested that he commit seppuku, which was hilarious, since he was in a lot of pressure of getting rejected by Kuroha in front of the whole school. After a while, the sisters informed him that Kuro wanted to talk to him the next morning and head to school with him. This was a bit tough for him, but finally he chose to do it anyway. While leaving his house, one of the twin sisters, Akane, told him that she would be happy for him no matter what, even if he chose to return back to show business, or if he chose to sacrifice everything for love. The next morning, he headed off to school as usual. Kuroha was already waiting for him outside her home. She was waiting for him to have a serious conversation about everything that happened. After that, she told him that she was really sorry about everything that was happening, but she didn't remember anything that had happened after or during their summer break. Even if she tried to remember things after seeing the video, she was not able to do it. As she was about to hold his hand, Maru backed off, which made her a bit sad once again. She just wanted to be someone who Maru could trust fully once again. After that, Kuro tried to walk out of the scene, but Maru insisted that nothing was wrong, and assured her that everything was all right, and it would be for the best if they stayed together as friends for now. Suddenly, as they were having a conversation, a car pulled up in front of them. Kachai got out of the car, surprisingly. After seeing Shiro, Maru felt a bit happy. Actually, since a lot of press and media was after Maru, it was for the best that for now, he traveled back and forth to school by a car, where he was safe from all the media harassment rather than walking. This obviously made Kuroha jealous, as they sat in her car making their way to the school. On the way to the school, Maru let her know that Kuroha was having a bit of amnesia since last night, but quickly Shiro said that that was probably all fake, according to her girl's intuition, which is generally accurate. Maru had a really brilliant idea to test that theory. Later that day at the library, Kuroha and Maru were sitting together in order to have lunch where Maru had prepared a lunch for him. This was odd, but made Kuroha really happy. Kuroha had a phobia of not eating octopus sausages. So the plan was to test if her amnesia was actually real and if she remembers not liking octopus sausages. To his surprise, Kuroha didn't even flinch while eating the octopus sausage. This confirmed the fact that she did have amnesia. After that, he informed her about the meeting with the CEO of the acting agency. He hands her over the card and explains the whole situation to her. Kuroha was a bit disappointed that he finally decided to go see the CEO and pursue his career, but he still wasn't sure what to do. He decided to go and talk to the CEO anyway. Kuroha decided to support his decision, as she was finally happy that he was finally actually doing something for himself. He then thanked Kuro, who had advised him to act for someone else, in order to give his best performance on stage, which worked well for him and made his performance a grand hit. Kuroha actually really cared about Maru, but didn't want him to get hurt once again, the memories of his traumatic past hitting back when he started to act. But at the same time, she also wanted him to be happy, so she decided to support him anyway. He was actually really sad that she had lost her memories, but there was nothing he could do about it. All of a sudden, Kuroha stood up and hugged him from the behind and started to comfort him regarding everything he was worried and was overthinking about. She handled everything really maturely, although her memories were still lost and not recovered. She decided to go with him to show business. Although she herself wasn't interested in the business, she wanted to support him. Suddenly, Kachai and Kai entered the room. Apparently, she was monitoring them and their activities with the help of the camera that Rina had set up. She was happy that he had finally chosen to go and see the show business CEO. Now, after a while all of them sat together with their lunches. Kai asked Kachai if she was happy with Maru's decision and if her main motive with Maru was for him to act in one of the scripts or stories written by her. She actually wanted that, but here Kai said that, by saying this, she was actually contradicting herself. Kai suggested that all of them, including Shida, start a club called the Ultramarine Channel, where Suharu could show off his acting skills and Kachai could write stories, where Suharu would be acting. By this way, Suharu didn't even have to quit high school to pursue his job and his passion. They would be uploading these videos to YouTube and gain more popularity. This seemed like a fun idea for all of them, and they agreed, especially Maru, who was totally invested in this idea. After that, Kai had one last request, which was to let him accompany them to see the CEO of the show business. Suharu knew that something was going on in his mind, but decided to agree to it anyway. Shiro also wanted to join them, so all of them left for their destination. After reaching the destination, Momo was waiting for Suharu, and Momo was a bit nostalgic remembering the first time they met in the same place. Both of them started praising each other's talent for acting and how they both motivated and influenced each other indirectly and directly to become better versions of themselves and do a better job at acting. The CEO, Hardy Shun, was a man who was a bit smug, but Maru tried to impress him. He also let the CEO know that he was not ready to arrive at a conclusion yet, and also Shida let the CEO know that she came there to decline his offer. After hearing that, the CEO tried to bait them into the money trap, offering a lot of money and promising them both huge success and fame if Maru returned and Shida debuted. even after offering them 3 million yen for acting in commercials. Shida declined, but Maru was really impressed and swayed away easily for a temporary span of time. After a while of the CEO and Shida arguing back and forth, the CEO stooped really low and resorted to insulting her personally and her parents as well. This was not taken well by Maru, who simply grabbed the wine bottle and poured it all over his head, as he was too angry by his behavior with Shida. After a while of the CEO trying to negotiate with Shida, he eventually became frustrated with her continuously negative response about the whole situation. Even after luring her in with a lot of money and other traps, nothing seemed to work on her. This angered him and he started attacking her personally, asking if her parents had raised her right at all. After that, she was pissed off. Suddenly, Maru stood up and grabbed the bottle of expensive wine and poured it all over his head. This was a very bold move for him, which shocked everyone in the room. The CEO couldn't believe the audacity of this young boy. Now, Maru couldn't hold in his anger when his childhood friend was being insulted by this man in front of everyone. That too at such a personal level. The CEO stood up, wiping himself, and started to call Maru and everyone around him trash. That enraged Tetsuhiko, and he started getting physical with the CEO. Shida tried to stop him, and Maru also tried to hold him back. Then the CEO called someone, ordering the person on the phone to call the police on them, and next threatened them to stay there. This put Maru in a huge panic, but Kai was really calm in this whole situation. The CEO left the room, and Kai proposed a plan. All of them would testify that nothing had happened in the room, and everyone would be out of trouble that way. Everyone agreed to the plan, but Shida could not bring herself to support this plan. This was totally against her morals, and she didn't want Maru to do something so dishonest, and this would probably be disadvantageous for them in the long run. After a while, Shiro's dad entered the room with the CEO. Actually, Shiro's dad was the one making the particular commercial. Maru was happy to see him, and Shiro's dad was surprised to see his daughter and all of them in the room. Now, after hearing everything, her dad too was really confused as to what to do in this whole situation. He didn't know what would be the right thing to do, as the situation was really complex here. Everyone was correct morally, but legally they had committed a crime and Shun had the upper hand here. After listening to everyone, Momo proposed that they solve everything peacefully with the help of a commercial contest. The commercial that had the most views would be the winner. The condition was that if Shun's team won, then Maru had to listen to all his demands and work for him. And if Maru's team worked, Shun had to remain silent about the whole situation. Shun had quickly agreed, thinking that he had the upper hand. But here, Maru was a bit disappointed as Momo decided to work with the CEO in the commercial. Momo felt it would be only fair for everyone, with the balance in power, and to Shun as well, since she was technically a part of his agency. Tetsuhiko's idea about the Ultramarine channel would now be used as the Ultramarine Alliance, where they all would be making a commercial produced by Shiro's dad. The next day, all of them gathered in their school club room in order to discuss everything in detail and finalized everything. The commercial was of a drink, Aquamine, and they had to advertise about this drink. Momo's story was also very sad. Actually, she had endured a rough childhood due to her parents' constant fighting, making their house an unfit place to reside. But thankfully, she had the support of her elder sister. Her elder sister always guided and supported her in every step. When her sister was in middle school, the both of them decided to not go through this toxic environment and run away from their house. Her sister had sacrificed her youth in order for Momo to have a secure childhood. Momo hated her situation, where she couldn't do anything to help her sister out. That was when she decided to join an acting agency, where she met Maru. Maru was like an older brother and an inspiration to her from the beginning. She wanted to catch up to Maru and prove to him that she was also really talented and blessed with good fortune. Maru promised to wait for her until then. Suharu had basically saved her from the darkness back then, but when he quit acting, everything went dark for her once again. Momo was watching Suharu's viral video when her sister came in and she welcomed her. Both of them then started to watch Suharu's commercial. The commercial was a good one, but it was as if the main focus of the ad was Suharu and not Aquamine, the sports drink. She was happy about the commercial, but also felt something lacking about the commercial that they had made. She was pretty sure that her commercial would win, after seeing their missing spots. After that, Momo called Suharu, who was determined to not give up, so the contest wasn't over yet. Momo was really happy that Suharu had seen her acting and thought of her work to be really impressive and tough to beat, which was why he decided to take a second chance at defeating her. He was already shooting at the time, and excused himself. The next commercial was something totally out of the world and next level. Suharu's acting was crazy. The cinematography, everything in this commercial was perfect, and there was no way that Momo could beat this one. Easily, Suharu's video had won by twice as many votes. Momo was happy that she wasn't alone. She once again was finding the light. After that, Suharu was overjoyed, and started to eat carbs. He had controlled his diet for a long time, controlled his weight, to shoot the commercial. All of them were pretty happy and satisfied with it. Later, Shiro got a message from her dad that he was waiting at the car to meet Tetsuhiko. When Tetsuhiko reached there, Shiro's dad found out his ulterior motive after doing a bit of digging on his past. Actually, hard